Hey people, we're in the PC-9 again, and we're going to have a look at the navigation systems in this aircraft. It's a pretty crappy day today, and you see plenty of lightning, not much visibility, so I thought it would be perfect time for an IFR flight. Alright, so the navigation systems in this aircraft are right down the bottom here. Let's just start from the left. Alright, first we got the communication frequencies here. This is COM1, and over here you have COM2. In the middle we have some buttons that control options on the HSI. You get a few different things you can do there, but I'll have more of a look at that soon. Alright, over here you've got where you put your nav frequency. Now, this switch here, if you press that, you see that changes from nav to TCN. Now, TCN is Tactical Air Navigation. It's basically like a VOR, but it's what the military use and provides a bit more data than the normal VOR. But in flight sim, TCN is in fact essentially the same as a VOR. So TCN mode here, you can just think of that being nav2. So you got nav1 and nav2. That's pretty much what it is. Over here, you got where you put your NDB frequencies for ADF navigation, and you got your transponder number over there. Alright, well, let's just have a look at what flight can do, just see what route we're going to take. Okay, this is the situation. We're at Hobart Airport and we want to get to Launceston Airport. Both of these airports have a VOR station. Hobart's is 112.7 and Launceston's is 112.6. Up near Launceston, there's also a NDB station, the Nile NDB, and its frequency is 230. Launceston also has an ILS for one of its runways, which we'll be using, and its frequency is 109.5. So we'll be using all four of these navigation aids for us to arrive safely at Launceston Airport. I'm going to tune my nav1 radio to the Hobart VOR frequency 112.7. Then I'm going to use the course knob to select the course 335 degrees. This is a 335 radial that emanates from the Hobart VOR, and it in fact leads directly towards or directly to Launceston Airport. I'm going to take off at a heading of 300 degrees and then turn right to intercept the 335 degrees Hobart radial. I will follow this course until I'm about 25 nautical miles away from the Launceston VOR, and I will know this because I'll have the distance readout in my cockpit, and I'll show you where this is displayed. At this distance, I will then make a right turn and track directly towards the Nile NDB. Now, when I approach that NDB, I will have by then tuned my nav1 radio to the Launceston ILS frequency 109.5. This ILS heading is 313 degrees, and I'll turn left just as I get to the NDB to intercept this ILS heading, and then hopefully approach and land at the airport in good shape. I've got the aeroplane lined up on runway 30 at Hobart. Let's tune my radios to the frequencies that I need. Alright, so on nav1, we will tune into the Hobart VOR 1112.7. So you just use these knobs here to adjust that, and then you press this arrow button here, and that switches it from standby into the active frequency. Okay, and also I'll set the course using this knob down here, and you get the course readout up here, and I'll set that to 335, like that. Already you can see here it tells you the distance from the VOR, 0.3 nautical miles. I also want to tune to, in nav2, or the TCN mode, the Launceston VOR station 1112.6. Okay, put that into the active. Now, up here, this DME button, you can switch between which VOR station DME is read out. So N1, that's nav1, this is the Hobart one. N2 is Launceston one. At the moment we're on the ground or too far away, so it's not displayed, but once we get up in the air, that would actually display the distance from the Launceston VOR. Also, I'll tune the NDB frequency, the Nile NDB, which is 230, like so. Alright. Also, in nav, I'll also put in the standby frequency the ILS for Launceston 109.5. So all I have to do is hit that switch, and I'll be able to tune to that ILS frequency when I'm ready. Also, when you change between nav and TCN, you can actually also put in a different course for the nav2 frequency if you need to, but all I care about is the distance from the nav2 VOR, the Launceston one, so I don't need to worry about what course I set for that one. Okay, so that's all set and we're ready for takeoff. You can see my heading is about 300. I'll keep on climbing and maintain this heading until I get to about 1,000 feet. Okay, passing 1,000, going to now make a right turn, and you see on the HSI coming around to the course 335 degrees. I'll need to go a bit past 335 so I can actually intercept that course. We'll head about directly north, and I should be able to intercept it pretty quickly. Just keep an eye out on this bar here. When you see that start moving to the left, then you can start your turn to the left also to intercept that course. I'm going to climb up to 8,000 feet. Okay, I can see that bar moving now, so I'm going to make my turn to the left. Almost there, just a little bit more. Yeah, and that's pretty good there. So I'll turn now left to 335, and that's just about there. Alright, so now we're right on the 335 degree radial, heading directly towards Launceston. So we'll maintain this course for a while. Now, we'll just continue climbing, and I'll just show you a few things here. At the moment, you can see my DME up here is set to N2. So here we can see the distance to the nav2 VOR, which is the Launceston one, about 70 nautical miles away. It also gives me my ground speed, 227 knots. If I press this, switches to nav1, which is the Hobart the Hobart VOR, and I'm about almost 10 nautical miles away from that now. I want to keep it on the Launceston VOR so I can see how far away I am from that. Getting a bit off course here, I just need to track back. Flight update, we're at 8,000 feet and tracking 335 degree radial. There's a bit of wind, so I'm having to compensate a bit from that. And there's no autopilot in this aircraft, so I've got to try and maintain altitude and course the whole time with this turbulence. It's takes a bit of focus, but we're getting there. And we can see now I am 50 nautical miles away from Launceston. Flight update, we're now just under 30 nautical miles away from Launceston. I'm just going to pause it here now just to show you something. I've just noticed that we're close enough to the NDB, so it's now being picked up by the ADF. You can see here this arrow is pointing towards it. There's a few little buttons on this gauge here. On the left hand side here, see when I press this arrow changes. At the moment it's pointing towards ADF, which means, and it's referring to this white triangle arrow here, it's pointing towards ADF if it's selected to this side. If this arrow is pointing this way towards nav, that means that this solid arrow is then tuned to the nav1 frequency, so it's actually pointing back towards the Hobart VOR. Now on this other side it's much the same, except it's a black arrow, so pointing towards ADF, this large outlined arrow is pointing towards the ADF, like the other one is, pointing towards the NDB. If I press it here, so the black arrow points toward nav, it's actually now pointing towards the nav2 VOR, which is the Launceston one. Which is, yeah, that must be right because we're heading directly towards it. Now I'm going to just have both selected to ADF because that's all I want. I just want to see the direction that the NDB is. Also, what you can do, you can get the same kind of data on the HSI. This button here, if you press that, that'll bring up this arrow here. It's actually tuned to nav1, the Hobart VOR, and that's pointing back towards Hobart. If you press this one here, that brings up the NDB, the ADF arrow, and this red one here, and that's pointing towards the Nile NDB, just like over here. So, yeah, so you can have a bit more data displayed on here if you want to. So I'll keep that up. Now there's a few buttons on here that have that change the display a bit. You can switch between nav and map using this button. I prefer it on this one because it gives me more of an indication of my deviation from my VOR course. If you press this one over here, HSI, that just kind of gives you a more, I guess, focused image of the front at about 80-degree sweep of heading, and also a bit closer up view of the VOR, the course deviation marks, I guess you call them, around here. So I will actually keep it on that mode now. Now the nav button here, that switches between nav and localizer, or the ILS. So once I switch over to my ILS frequency, I'll actually switch over to this mode, and it will show me my localizer and glide slope. Alright, so now that I'm picking up the Nile NDB, we'll make just a small turn to the right and track directly towards that rather than on the Hobart VOR course. I'll unpause and make just a small right turn. Also, I'm going to tune my nav1 now to put the ILS frequency as the active frequency. Okay. Yep, so we're heading towards the Nile NDB now. I've now began my descent towards Nile NDB, and I'm going to switch over now using this nav button to the ILS mode. We can see here, both on the screen down here and the screen here, my glide slope, which I'm above. So I want the screen arrow to be in the middle. So I'm going to descend, slow down and descend. I want to be at the Nile NDB at about 3,000 feet. I know from charts that the NDB is about 8 nautical miles away from the Launceston VOR. So when I get to about 8 nautical miles here, I want to be at 3,000 feet. As soon as I start seeing this bar move towards the center, I will turn and track course 313 towards Launceston. I should then be on the localizer. So I'll use the course knob now to change that to 313, like so. Alright, I'm almost at the right altitude now. I'll decrease my descent rate. Any second now we should see that bar on the localizer start to move inwards. There it goes. Alright, so I'll turn left now and intercept the localizer. Just check the wind. There's a 8 knot wind at 307 degrees, so that's a little bit to my left, but not much. Alright, I need to get down a bit more. Have my flaps down to the first stage. Gear down. And flaps all the way down. See some land approaching ahead now, so getting close. Just try and keep on that localizer and glide slope all the way down. Hopefully I'll have a visual shortly. Yep, I see the runway lights ahead, so I'll use that to adjust my descent. See the runway threshold and the VASI lights on either side. So just slow down a bit more. And there we go, on the center line. And applying brakes. And we're down. So we've flown from one airport to the other in pretty much very low visibility, just using our navigation aids. Any questions about this, just let me know and I'll try and answer them. Alright, see you folks.